All right, welcome to the Flying Cravat podcast. I'm joined once again by Adam Robbins from Bringer Productions. How's it going, Adam?
It's all right.
Yeah, we just got through the Survivor Series pay-per-view, and that's the absolute best way to describe it. So we'll go into the first match here, which was Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Naomi, Asuka, and Carmella versus Mickie James, Tamina, Nia Jax, Sasha Banks, and Bayley. I thought that when Bayley and Sonya Deville got counted out, there was a very quick count by the referee, and then when at the end when all hell broke loose and they were all outside the ring, they weren't counting at all, so that was pretty inconsistent. I thought it was a good match, but it had a really poor finish. I gave it one thumb up because there was some good wrestling involved. What'd you think about that one?
Well, I mean, I love in the opening minutes that takedown Naomi did Tamina.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Right.
I didn't like how they've been advertising nonstop that Nia Jax is the face breaker when supposedly that ruined one of your main events.
Right.
And the crowd booed her, but I don't know.
It might be a good segue to turn her into the monster heel that she always should have been presented as.
Yeah, she probably should have finished a little more developmental before coming up.
Yeah, she's hurt quite a few. And is it her, or is it she's just unlucky, or I'm not sure. But
I mean, accidents happen in the ring, even to the best people. But hers,
it's been pretty consistent.
It's been
every
consistent.
couple months, someone gets dinged up working with her.
Right. So, Mike used to have this saying about, remember when Randy Orton was taking on the Nexus led by CM Punk, and he'd punt someone, Mike called it the OVW punt.
Yeah.
I think Nia needs the OVW punt.
Yeah.
I gave this also one thumb. There was some good wrestling in it. I felt like, Asuka made it to the end, and that's fun to watch, but how many times are you going to keep feeding Asuka to people?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think she'd win simply because she was the last woman standing last year. But, I mean, for her to not even have an offense against Nia Jax is just insane.
Yeah, it's something we talked about last week. Is just the complete and utter variance of Asuka. And, you look at the women that were on Evolution and did really well. Some of them weren't even on this pay-per-view. And
imagine that.
Some of the other really good female wrestlers they have. This would have been a good one to do a call-up. Like you said, bring up Kairi Sane or Balzer. But, this just... With all the people involved, it should have been a lot better than it was. We both gave that a thumb up. Match 2 was Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I thought it was a solid, hard-hitting match. The superplex into the Falcon Arrow was pretty seamless. It had good false finishes and a good finish overall. I gave it 1.5 thumbs up.
Yeah, I also gave it a 1.5 thumbs up. I love the mind games between the two when the match started. Yeah. It's just good to see them playing off each other and trying to throw each other off their game. I mean, Nakamura he's one of those wrestlers I think is just entertaining. He can do anything in the ring, and I'm going to find it entertaining. Seth, solid worker. He has fun too. I mean, I'm not going to be like, there's a difference between Seth Rollins and Lance Storm, where Lance was amazing in the ring, but he wasn't an entertaining wrestler.
Right.
Rollins is really good in the ring, but he is an entertaining wrestler. So they did play well off each other. That 3 count came way too soon.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he was in a full pin by the time that count, got to 2. The Ambrose heel turn really turned out to be meaningless.
Seriously.
I mean, for this to be the match that Seth wrestles and Ambrose doesn't get involved at all.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I know they came out later and said, "Oh, you'll be facing Dean Ambrose at at TLC, but does it really matter now?
Right.
I mean, couldn't they have pulled the trigger on that after tonight?
Yeah, or instead of doing it when Roman made his announcement, you could have had them in the men's Survivor Series. It comes down to them against one SmackDown, and then he turns on them, and then but it's just like it's again we talk about it all the time that booking where they start it and they stop it, and if you're not presenting it and it's not going somewhere, people are going to get tired and forget about it. So yeah, they could have done it 1,000 or have Dean come out and screw over Rollins, but instead, you just have this bearing of SmackDown, and I don't see what it's going to lead to. It's not going to lead to anything, and that's the biggest problem with this Survivor Series is they kept talking about the stakes. Did they say that anything was on the line?
The only thing I think they said was that if Raw had a flawless night, Baron Corbin could keep his job.
Because people care about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the selling point. Because, as you know, all those Baron Corbin fans out there, all one of you, are really going to be just ecstatic that we're going to get more of this.
Yeah.
Because it's been so well. I will say, the reason I heard they did the Ambrose heel turn that night is, and this is what I've heard through both Twitter and YouTube videos, is I kept thinking it was set in stone that it was going to be that night, and then the Roman thing happened at the last minute, and they just went through with it anyway.
Right.
No, it seems like they knew they were going to do it, but they figured that's going to be the perfect night to do it because the crowd's going to be emotional enough as it is. And as we've seen, people did not take kindly to that, and it hasn't meant anything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. For it to have absolutely no bearing in the World Cup and that pay-per-view that we don't talk about in that country that we don't talk about, and then for this one it to have absolutely no bearing. Why pull the trigger there instead of doing it in an important setting such as Survivor Series, such as throwing them out of the Royal Rumble, low blowing them and throwing them out,
or him getting thrown out of the Rumble and then
coming back,
coming and pulling him out. There. Something. I mean, that heel turn that we all knew was coming just has meant nothing.
Yeah.
And I believe Ambrose, again going back to Jon Moxley, can be a great heel, but it hasn't meant a damn thing, and it's probably not going to mean anything even at TLC unless they have an amazing match with a great finish.
Yeah.
But based on tonight, great finishes aren't what they want.
They were few and far between. Like I said, I thought that this one had a good finish. They did a couple falses and then went in cool way into the curb stomp. So
I do think that Nakamura could have sold that curb stomp better.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was just like laying on the outside of the ring or something after, Seth left or something, I think that'd be great. But the fact that he got out of the ring and he's walking away, he's like kind of mugging at Rollins. I don't know if I called Rollins Styles a second ago.
I don't know.
It's just, I'm like, no, sell it, make it mean something, because I mean, for a while there, he wasn't doing the curb stomp.
Right. He went to
as they call it, the stomp.
Yeah,
now.
He went to the Kenny Omega kind of knee.
Also, I hate the super kicks so much.
Oh yeah, they don't mean anything. They mean as much as the lockup.
Right.
At this point.
I mean, when Shawn Michaels did it, I mean, he'd warm it up. You knew it was coming. Yeah. That was a big finish.
And his looked like it would take your chin off.
Mm-hmm.
Now all these guys, they do it to the stomach, they do it to the side of the head, but they're not bringing it. And he brought it, and that's why it looked legitimate.
Right. And between what we saw here tonight, because that wasn't the only super kick tonight.
No, there were hundreds.
Right. But you see it all through the indies.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
On every promotion, you got like 7 guys doing the super kick. I'm done with that move. Like you said, it's like the DDT.
Yeah, it went from the DDT being, when Jake Roberts started doing it, it was a revered move, and then even some of the guys like Raven, but then everyone started doing it. Everyone started doing the super kick. Everyone started doing the backstabber, and now those moves that once were like, holy cow, they don't mean anything.
Yeah, although I will say, if you're comparing the super kick to the DDT, since Enzo DDT'd himself, I'd love to see Enzo super kick himself.
That would be something. So we'll go on to match 3, which was the Bar and Big Show for some reason against the AOP. The only thing I wrote down, this match could have been really good. We talked about Sheamus last week, last pay-per-view, how he's not the greatest in the world, but he's still competent in the ring. We both of us and Chris thought that Cesaro is very, very underrated. And then, AOP, they kind of are what they are. They're
big, scary guys.
Yeah, big, scary guys. But that piss spot with Rockstar Spud took me out of the match completely. That was so dumb and so unnecessary. And I what was the finish? Like the suplex to the power bomb. But after that spot, no one cared.
Right. Well, I mean, you could see it coming too because Spud's holding himself the whole time, and I'm like, someone has a pissinator.
Yeah.
I think that's what Bruce Pritchard calls it, a pissinator. So if Bruce said it, it must be gospel.
Yeah.
I wrote down a couple things here. I said Cesaro does a swing.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah, that was really cool.
He did a swing. Which guy from AOP did he do it to?
The one.
Oh, the big one.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, to do it to a guy that size, and the other guy hops over his
opponent.
opponent.
Yeah, it looked like he was coming in to break it up, and he came a little too soon where he was still there, so he cleared him.
He cleared him.
Land on him.
That could have gone horribly wrong.
Right.
Also, the piss spot, which, I mean, for guys like AOP, should they be represented by someone from the Lollipop Guild?
Yeah, and it's weird, like we were talking about when he first came in, and he was the general manager of 205 Live, and then all of a sudden, I'm not sure. I haven't even read. I've been so disenfranchised with wrestling that I hardly even read the dirt sheets anymore or anything like that. But I don't know what happened to Paul Ellering, why he had to stop. But then you take this little person with a British accent, and you put him in the same suit,
right?
But like the Baby Gap version. How does he fit in with them?
He doesn't. In fact, sometimes I forgot it was him, and I'm like, what's Hornswoggle doing outside on the ring?
Yeah, he's
or on the apron.
Right.
But, this match, it wasn't bad. And the Bar, by far, is not a bad tag team.
No.
I feel like this should have been AOP versus the Bludgeons.
Yeah.
Because that would have been brutal. Even if it's even if it's sluggish, because like you said, the AOP guys are sluggish.
Yeah.
But, they're so big. I mean, when they come out in their ring gear, they look like the two characters from Army of One. Mm-hmm. Or, I'm sorry, Army of Two.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you get them against two other big guys that know their way around the ring, and they can make these guys look good. And it'd be a smash mouth kind of match. I mean, you're not going to see grade A wrestling, but you see big guys beating the hell out of each other. And I'm fine with that. As long as it works, as long as it doesn't turn out to be like, the Brothers of Destruction versus Chronic, which I don't know how that match got screwed up. Yeah.
I don't know.
But I will give this one thumb.
Yeah, I think I gave it half a thumb. Like I said, that piss spot just completely... It's just so juvenile. Hey, let's make Rockstar Spud piss his pants, because that's... I don't know. It's just bad. Our fourth match, and I think was match of the night, was Buddy Murphy versus Mustafa Ali. I thought there was a really interesting cutoff. I don't remember what the move was, but whatever it was, I found it interesting. There was a really move where Buddy Murphy was tied up in the ropes, and Mustafa Ali did Tilt World DDT. That was really sick looking. The inverted Hurricanrana was, he got dropped right on his head. It looked devastating. I thought it was a great match. I liked the finish a lot. I think that the biggest shame that came out of this pay-per-view is the fact that most people still don't know who they are.
Right.
Because a lot of people aren't watching 205 Live because it's on the network and it's ingrained in them to watch Raw and SmackDown. You have 3 hours.
Even stopping.
Yeah, you have 3 hours of Raw. You put all this crap in here, and the cruiserweights are totally getting neglected because they're ostracized on a different show.
Which sucks because Raw, you have 3 hours, and let's face it, they're struggling to fill up those 3 hours. That's why you get a lot of garbage segments, as I like to call them.
Right.
Put some cruiserweights on there. You know, that's a missed opportunity, which, you know, it's obvious they don't really care about the cruiserweight division. They just know other people care about it. And they signed all these guys who are great wrestlers, so it's almost like, well, we signed them so no one else can have them. We really don't want them, but we don't want you to have them.
Exactly.
I mean, I thought, match of the night, just based on, you know, the chemistry and what they were able to do when they were alone. I think it was probably only rivaled by Seth Rollins and Shinsuke Nakamura. Yeah. I wrote down, this should have had a ladder in it. Remember back in the day when the cruiserweights, every cruiserweight title match had a ladder in it? And I think these guys could have worked well off that.
Yeah. They've had some good matches in 205 Live. I do go out of my way to watch that in NXT. I don't go out of my way to watch Raw or SmackDown.
Well, no, because why be disappointed every week?
Exactly. It's hard enough.
It's hard enough to be disappointed by every pay-per-view at this point.
But Evolution was great.
Evolution was, and, you know, they just didn't capture that magic here. And I want to get more to that later, because we got to talk about the announcing at some point.
Yeah.
One thing, I just happened to look at my sheet. I can't believe I missed this. When we were talking about Seth Rollins and Nakamura, one little joke I put in here, I said, shouldn't Nakamura's mouth guard have been blue?
Yeah. Yeah, since he's representing...
Since, everyone's wearing blue for SmackDown, and his, you know, wrestling gear is blue now instead of red.
It looked really weird, because it's like he had, like, kind of navy pants and a navy long shirt, and then, like, a light blue shirt. Right. It just looked weird. And I'll probably get into this when we talk about the next match, but I just want to break away for a second. What they have done with that world-class, you know, I guess you could call it a recruitment, is just, it borders on blasphemy. You know, they brought in Finn Balor. He tore it up in NXT. He came up. They pushed him at first. And then ever since he got injured and came back, he's been an afterthought.
That's pretty much every NXT person.
Well, think about it. Samoa Joe was part of that. You know, they took the hottest tag team in Japan and Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, and they've done nothing with them. They pushed them at first, and then they were just kind of left behind when AJ and Cena went their other ways.
Right.
Asuka, Ember Moon. I mean.
Bailey?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they've screwed her. Absolutely screwed her. And I was asking you, do you remember a few years ago when she was Sasha Banks' special guest? She didn't have a partner, and she was a surprise partner. The arena went crazy. Mm-hmm. Tonight, you had a few people cheering. Right. One creepy guy trying to get a hug that was kind of weird.
Yeah, but, I think that's why Chris isn't with us tonight.
Yeah, but...
no, I mean... I brought this up earlier. I said the one special thing about Baron Corbin is he's getting the exact same push on the main roster as he had in NXT.
Yeah.
It's not good, but at least you can't say, well, they've ruined this character.
Yeah. I mean, he really only... The only things that he does that are like, wow, that's really cool, is the deep six, when he, you know, the spinning backdrop, and then the end of days, sometimes how he goes into that. Other than that, his moveset is very bland. I said this about The Miz last week. One of the biggest problems I have with The Miz is all the moves that he does are what you learn in the first month and a half of wrestling school. It's like outside of that, outside of the skull-crushing finale, he does all beginner moves.
Well,
and
you know, to be fair to The Miz, every bit of acting he's ever done is the same kind of acting you learn in the first few weeks of acting class.
Very true. Very true. But it's just... They're trying to push guys with very bland movesets. You know, I don't want to talk disparagingly of Roman while he's going through this, but his moveset is very bland. I mean, name something he does outside of the spear and the
super punch.
Yeah, the Superman punch.
Well, he does like flip his hair back and yell at the sky. So there's that.
But I mean,
and hell, I mean, let's face it, nobody can say suffering succotash like Roman.
Yeah, but it's just it's such. It's almost sickening the way that they've brought all this world class talent in. They've filtered them through NXT, and the only guy that they've signed from that period that they've consistently pushed and pushed correctly is AJ.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is because, I mean, you can put AJ in a ring with a stuffed teddy bear and he's going to give you a decent match. The guy's just unstoppable. But
no, AJ knows how to be good and make his opponent look good.
Yeah.
Right now, you got a lot of guys that, we'll go to Dolph Ziggler, know how to make their opponent look good. We got a lot of guys that know how to look good in the ring, but a lot of the things they do don't make sense. Like, we were talking about ring psychology.
Yeah.
And you get some of these guys, they're working on their opponent's leg. They're working on his leg. Then let's do a flying spot for no reason. For no real reason except to get the crowd to go, oh, look, he's flying through the air. So AJ is someone that understands everything that needs to be done in a match. I wouldn't be surprised if AJ was like Macho Man and mapped the whole thing out.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. AJ is just a really phenomenal bumper. He's a great seller. One thing that you'll see a lot, and this is one thing that CM Punk did so well, is, guys working on his leg. If he's a baby face, during the heat, the guy's working on his leg. And then when he takes over and he'll hit a clothesline, he'll still sell his leg. A lot of time, guys, after they get through that, they're completely impervious to pain and they're not selling anything. They're going full speed ahead.
Right. I mean, the only one that can do that and get away with is Hulk Hogan.
It's true.
I mean, hell, even Warrior tried and it just didn't work. But, no, for Buddy Murphy and Mustafa Ali, I will say, match of the night, 2 thumbs. Mm-hmm. I want to give it more than 2 thumbs just with all the jokes we were making during the match. He had Sarah, my fiance, watching it, and as soon as she heard his last name was Ali, she starts thinking of the song from Aladdin.
Right.
Which it didn't help that, like when he was dating, I'm like, look, honey, he's in a whole new world. And so we got a lot of jokes out of that. Yeah. It made it special. But, I mean, let's face it, this pay-per-view gave us a lot to laugh at. Not for the right reasons.
Right.
But we'll get to more.
Yeah, it was, oh, man. It seems like, we keep talking about how great Evolution was because it was. It absolutely was. And then we kind of... they kind of got knocked on their butt with Crown Jewel, and they're just continue. I mean, this is just really bad.
The pay-per-view they had before Evolution was Super Showdown, right?
That's good.
Was it a good pay-per-view?
It wasn't bad at all.
I didn't watch it, so I can't remember.
I mean, the wrestling was fine, but I think the biggest problem that affected this is what we were talking about last week, is that they're letting the circumstances rush booking, like with the Ambrose turn,
right?
With Becky Lynch being pulled out, and you said something about it. I'm sure we'll get into it when we cover that match, but it's like, they had the script and they just replaced Becky's name with Charlotte and had her. It made absolutely no sense, but so I think that really affected this match. We'll go into match 5, which was Lashley, Finn Balor, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Strowman against The Miz, Jeff Hardy, Samoa Joe, Mysterio, and the best in the world, Shane McMahon.
Well, you have Joe in this match. Right there guarantees it's going to be a good match. I mean, the only thing that could really make you turn your head to the side and say, what, is if Joe got eliminated first. But who's stupid enough to do that?
Right. Oh, they did. So I wrote down, way to kill Joe, right off the bat.
I wrote down, well, they wasted Joe.
Yep. And
especially because it looked like you're going to have Joe go face to face with Braun.
Yeah.
That could have been great.
Yeah.
And
but
it
no.
didn't happen.
I mean, what I thought was going to happen is when he snuck up and he got McIntyre, they'd go back and forth, he'd get him again, they'd break out, and then they'd start going at it. But just to have the big boot take him out, it's just they can't build credible wrestlers that haven't been there forever because they refuse to push people that, besides AJ, for some reason AJ just gets a pass. They're not pushing anybody that established themselves outside of the WWE. If you look, the people that they're pushing the most that come from NXT are people that they trained in the Performance Center from the ground up.
And even that's not getting that much of a push.
Yeah.
In the big picture of it.
Right.
But, I mean, I find it criminal that The Miz lasted longer in this than Joe.
Yeah.
The Miz.
Right.
And again, if we look, Miz didn't do anything incredible in this match.
Nope.
Now, I will say who I thought the MVP of this match was Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
I mean, Drew really worked hard, and he really made himself out to be a heel.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind him getting a big singles push off of this.
Oh, yeah.
You just separate him from Dolph Ziggler and just kind of go on his own and start running through people. But, yeah, it's just... There were a lot of botches in this match, too. There was the one where Finn did, like, the coup de grace, but he was, just from his feet, not from the top rope, and he just kept sliding on the guy.
Yeah, on his face.
Yeah. There were a lot. I gave it a half a thumb up. There was some decent wrestling. The thing, again, we have to take all logic out of the WWE's version of wrestling, but after everything, the WWE's entertaining.
Well,
after
that and logic. Can't say logic in this either.
After everything that Braun Strowman can do outside of the ring, an elbow drop from Shane McMahon takes him out for 5, 6, 7 minutes. It makes absolutely no sense.
Well, it makes as much sense as when Braun came out of nowhere later in that match and clotheslined Shane midair, mind you.
Right.
And I'm like, I guess nobody saw that monster of a man get up and move over to Shane. I mean,
well, it's because when he backed up, you can hear the beep, beep.
Well, he just blends in so well with the background, right?
Yeah.
I gave this one thumb. I did enjoy a lot of the wrestling in it, but it's the finish again, because what happened was, Team Raw got whittled down to nothing. Mm-hmm. I mean, you had The Miz and you had Shane. And Shane was half dead from that table spot with Braun. Yeah. And, on the other end on Team Raw, you had Lashley, McIntyre, and Braun. Mm-hmm. So, you could have been they could have made it like a real close call. Mm-hmm. I could see like Lashley or McIntyre getting eliminated just barely in something. But no, you had Miz get chased by Braun. Mm-hmm. And Miz got eliminated. And here's Shane, half dead. And Shane gets up and, does the whole, here, bring it on. Like you said, best in the world, right? Right. And he just gets ran over by Braun. He
earned that title.
He did. Yeah. I mean, because it's hard to be born with the last name McMahon.
Yeah. This could have been so much more, and just like the World Cup, could have been used to build stars. They put Strowman over again, but he's not going to win the title.
No, he's not. And I mean, they put him over. Well, they put him over again only to have him get attacked after the match by Baron Corbin, because I guess that was one of the stipulations. He couldn't lay his hands on Corbin until this match was done. Yeah. And then, Baron clotheslines him from behind, and him, McIntyre, and was it Lashley with him?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think Lashley was with him. So Lashley's a heel, I guess. It's hard to tell anymore with certain wrestlers. And they're all going away, and here's Braun in the ring looking like an idiot. Yeah. I mean, you pitched a finish this match that I thought would have worked great.
I thought so. So basically what I would have done is when it was down to Braun, Drew McIntyre, and Lashley against Shane, I would have had Braun power slam Shane, go over, clothesline the two off the
apron.
Off the apron, and lay down and pull Shane on top of them. Get up, flip off Corbin, go outside, power slam them two, throw them in, and let Shane crawl over and do the double pin on them. But just to do it the way that they did, again, it doesn't it just doesn't add anything to what they're trying to do. It's just like they were like, we don't know what to do. Let's have Raw win every match and see if we can make a storyline.
Well, not only that, but you had, especially during this match, you had Raw turning on each other. I mean, you had Balor and McIntyre going at it.
Yep.
You had obviously their turn on Braun. And I'm still not convinced if Lashley is a heel or not. He's just kind of a tweener, I guess, according to this.
I think I saw it on Brian Zane's Who Wore It Better, that he turned heel a couple weeks ago.
Naturally.
Yeah. Out of nowhere, because that's the thing to do.
Apparently, I mean, you can't get it through compelling stories.
Right.
And speaking of compelling stories, that brings us to our next match, right?
Oh my gosh. Go ahead.
Ronda versus Charlotte. Now, I had an issue with this because I wanted Becky to fight Ronda.
Yeah.
Now, I was curious about the finish if it were Becky, because you don't want to book it in a way where it's going to make either one of them look weak.
Yeah.
But only one of them can win. I mean, I guess you could have like a double knockout or something, but that pissed the crowd off.
You could have done it in a way where it doesn't hurt either wrestler. It's too soon to have Ronda. I mean, it's not hard to understand what they're trying to do with her. They're trying to make her a female Braun or a female Cena.
I mean, not
Braun
means that she's not getting a push.
Lesnar. I meant Brock. But so you could have done something. The idea I had is and this was before Charlotte was announced, you just have Charlotte come out and fuck Becky over, and then their storyline goes on. But instead, what you get is, since Becky is out, like I said, it's like they had the script. They had what we want to happen in the match, and they just hit Control R to replace Becky's name with Charlotte. It made absolutely no sense. It made no sense leading up. The footage that they showed where they hugged, like, you two were just in a brutal feud. And it goes back to what we've been saying for the last couple of pay-per-views. If you're booking a match between a heel and a face, and the heel gets hurt, there's absolutely nothing wrong with either inserting another heel or having a face versus face match. And then the heel comes in at the end and does one move to where they can't further injure themselves and take some time off. But to just turn somebody heel with absolutely no build-up, with no shady acting, just to fill the role of, we need a heel in here, let's throw logic out the window. These two were just at each other's throats. Now they're hugging, and now 3/4 of the way through the match, Charlotte turns heel and beats the shit out of Charlotte. It makes no sense.
Well, right, and like you said it right there, they just had this feud where it was personal, and it was good because it was personal.
It's great.
They tried to kill each other at Evolution.
Yes.
And then they're hugging each other, and like, you beat her the way I was going to beat her. And I know there's some asshole out there that's probably going to go, well, that's women for you. You can't predict them. And I'm like, no, because, people like you should die. But,
right.
It makes, like you said, there's no sense. There's no even build up of Charlotte, trying to be there for Becky or anything like that. We're going to throw the rules right out the window because Becky got injured and we can't have her wrestle.
Yeah.
And, when we really go back to that, when Becky was going up to, like, the women of SmackDown, trying to see who should take her place, the crowd went nuts when she stopped at Asuka.
Yeah.
But no, let's insert Charlotte back into this picture because heaven knows that's what we need. And really, nothing against Charlotte Flair. She's a great wrestler.
Yeah.
And, I enjoyed this match for the most part. I mean, Ronda was bleeding pretty early on in this.
Yeah.
I mean, she's
they went back and they showed the elbow that I think legitimately cut open her mouth. Here's the thing, though. Like, if, let's say that you've got this match booked and, Becky gets hurt. So why not have it where Becky wants to go on with it? They say, no, you're not cleared to wrestle. We're going to insert Charlotte. And she's like, no, Charlotte's the worst. She's blah, blah, blah. Then she comes out at ringside and she interferes. But to just shoehorn Charlotte. So what's Charlotte going to do now? Is she a full-blown heel?
Well, I don't know, because it was brand versus brand, so maybe whatever you do to your opponent from the other brand has no bearing on your direction. And that's why I think that was like they just removed Becky's name out of everything and put Charlotte in it. Because I could see the finish of this match with Becky, and it would have made sense because that's
1,000%.
That's the kind of character.
But it doesn't make sense with Charlotte.
It doesn't, because Charlotte was a face, and this isn't like a Stone Cold Steve Austin kind of face. She was a face, and I mean, I wrote shitty finish, and that was like the theme of the night.
It was.
A lot of these matches just had horrible finishes, no matter the content of the match. And I mean, I can go all through this. Mm-hmm. Match 1, horrible finish. Mm-hmm. Match 5, horrible finish. Yeah. Even like, I'm not going to say there was a horrible finish on match 3, but I mean, it was a kind of you didn't care about this finish, and that's what we get with this. And I mean, surely this trend couldn't transfer to the next match at all.
Well, let me let you know what I thought about the actual match, not just the booking leading up to it or lack thereof. I thought I get what they were going for in the beginning minutes of the match. They were trying to do like a Greco-Roman and fill each other out, but it was so sloppy. I thought the match was awful. I didn't give it any thumbs up. It was a bad finish. I think that this was Ronda Rousey's worst match as a professional wrestler. They didn't click at all. The finish completely took away from it, but there was not one part of the match where it was well done. It was just so sloppy. I did not enjoy it at all.
Well, you said you thought their timing got thrown off, and they were trying to find it.
And that's something that you'll see a lot, where you call a certain string of spots and you get messed up, and the best thing to do is just to grab a hold of each other and just try to get back on the same page. But it just seemed like they got lost, and they never really regathered and got back in sync.
No, and that's a shame, because I know this could have been a dream match for a lot of people.
Yeah.
What's weird is how the crowd, I mean, maybe they were full of smart marks, but the crowd just, after Charlotte just beat down Ronda with, a kendo stick, a chair, everything she can think of. She even did the spot where she puts Ronda's neck inside the chair and jumps on it.
It kind of looked like she forgot how to do it, and they had to work through it. And it looked vicious.
It did look vicious, but then like the crowd is sitting there, and I swear it sounds like they're chanting thanks.
That's what I heard too.
And I've seen some wrestling fans just not like Ronda because she's a UFC person. Mm-hmm. She shouldn't be in wrestling. Ronda, I think, has been handled with kid gloves, but I don't think she's been handled wrong. Right. And I certainly don't see anything wrong with her character so far. Yeah. I mean, other than she's just so new right now. She's
still green, but I guarantee if you go back and you look at some of the other first few matches, they're not as good as Rousey just because she's, a natural show woman and going through the Greco-Roman and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training. A lot of that has in the judo. She was in the Olympics for judo. So a lot of that has really transferred. I mean, if you really think about it, a hip toss or an arm drag is judo because you're using the opponent's weight. So I'm sure she was used to doing some similar things. And I said when we reviewed Evolution. I love her judo throws in a wrestling ring because it's very believable, and I just think they look great.
Right.
She's very marketable, and that's the
Yeah.
reason they're pushing her to the moon.
Well, that, and you did. Speaking of Ronda being green, you made a comment that if there's one thing Ronda needs to work on, it's taking bumps.
Yeah, she's not very controlled. And what I mean by that, like if you take your standard back bump, you want to flat with your and tuck your chin and hit it at the same time. And when she falls, she's just all over the place, and that's a easy way to get injured, especially if you're not used to taking a lot of bumps. So Devon was another guy. He was very very uncontrolled, and
which is weird considering where Devon came from.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, that's really the only thing that sticks out. Watching her wrestle is just like there was the one where she got thrown into the turnbuckle, and one of her legs was pinned up underneath her body, and it looks weird just because she's not bumping controlled. And it takes a while. It takes a while to be able to bump really well. But yeah, this match was just it was her worst outing. It happens. I don't think that her and Charlotte clicked. And again, Charlotte being shoehorned in didn't make sense. And I think if you're going to do Charlotte, just make it a straight up face versus face match. You can do a screwy finish. You can do a dusty finish. But it didn't work.
Charlotte can lose clean. I mean, it's not going to hurt her
Yeah.
at this point because she's not the champ.
Right.
And I really hope they don't do one of these things of, well, we had Charlotte snap, so now she's the main focus and Becky gets pushed to the back burner.
That would really be a shame because Becky was getting very, very popular.
Very popular, and she was very good at what she's doing.
Yeah, I think she's done really well. And like I said,
we kept thinking she was going to pop up for the finish.
Yeah.
She was going to be the reason that it ended the way it did.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, you could really do it as her attacking Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why she picked
and
Charlotte.
Then Charlotte would get disqualified and Raw would get the win. But to just have her snap, A, it doesn't make sense. B, she was the heel and then Becky was the face and they kind of switched places and now it's just like Nia Jax last year when she was a baby face or when she was a heel and then she became a baby face for like 3 weeks and then went back.
Oh, WrestleMania?
If you don't give people time, they're not going to care about your turns.
Yeah, you're going to have like the Big Show.
Yeah, now let's talk about this, okay? Our main event was Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan. How did Daniel Bryan beat AJ?
Low blow, took advantage of it. Okay. Turned heel.
And after that, when the backstage announcer tried to interview him, what did he do?
I can't remember.
He just walked away. Isn't that what Shinsuke did at WrestleMania? He low blowed him.
Yeah.
Then the following, and he kept low blowing him.
AJ's getting low blown.
I mean,
all
it's
over
just
the place. That guy's not having any more kids.
It's the same feud. It's a challenger low blows him, takes advantage, wins, doesn't talk.
Wait, it can't be the same feud because the challenger got the belt this time.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother story. Vince McMahon will just never get why people like Japanese wrestlers, but yeah. So I thought it's AJ and Shinsuke all over again, and he low blowed Brock. So here's what I said about this match. The first German suplex was nasty. It looked like he dropped Daniel Bryan right on his head. Way to completely bury SmackDown and your new champion. I thought the ref bump, Mike Chioda completely telegraphed it when he got in, and he was right there to take the kick. Brock's domination went on too long.
Oh, 5 minutes too long at least.
I thought after you saw it develop and Bryan came back and actually made. I thought that's a good story, but you should have cut the domination.
Right.
And I thought it was another awful finish. I gave it half a thumb up.
Oh, it was a horrible finish.
Simply for Daniel Bryan taking that many suplexes, especially with his bad neck, which is probably not the smartest thing. But again, why turn him heel in a week with absolutely no build-up, with no foreshadowing to him turning a heel? Just, I saw someone online say, "Well, it wasn't expected. It was unexpected. That's good." And I always say, if I walk out of my house and someone's standing there and punches me in the face, I didn't see it coming. Doesn't mean it was a good thing. You can say, "Oh, I didn't see that coming. That was great."
But bro, it's a twist.
Yeah,
it's a twist, bro. It's that moment. It's a gotcha moment, and we gotta have that. You don't understand my true vision.
Right.
It's Russo booking is what it is. He'll turn out of nowhere.
Yeah, swerve.
Just because.
Swerve for the sake of a swerve.
Swerve for the sake of a swerve. And, like I said, Bryan's obviously a heel now. I mean, I know they tried to make him kind of a face in this match, but, I mean, you're against Lesnar. Yeah. You're probably going to be a face in there. But
what is Lesnar anyway? Is he a heel? Is he a face?
He's a he's a big cash loss in the WWE's bank account is what he is. But, like I said, Bryan came out to a heel yes chant. He comes out, acts like he's not going to do it, does it a little bit, then stops dead.
Which is good.
But I mean,
it
throws it off because, again, Brock is already your heel.
Yeah.
And Vince hates face versus face matches.
Right.
I don't understand how he could like a heel versus heel match.
You have no one to cheer for. That's why this main event suffered.
Well, that and, like I said, this match needs Looney Tunes sound effects. I mean, just some of the bumps they were taking. And Bryan, you didn't see, after Brock won the match and, he goes hobbling out, I guess. At least Brock's sold, which is more than you can say about his feud with Ambrose.
Right.
But they panned back to Daniel Bryan, and you missed it because you had gotten up. But Bryan was kind of sitting up, and he had this devious smile on his face.
Right.
Like he's cracked or something. And I just...
But has this been building, or did this just come out of nowhere?
Oh, it came completely out of nowhere. They reached as far up their asses as they could, and this is what they pulled out.
Yeah. It's just... It's silly, and it's like we were talking with Becky invading Raw. What was the build-up for that?
There wasn't. I mean, I kind of knew something was going to happen.
Well, yeah, because
every year you have this brand invades this brand, and you also have the, one of the champions has to talk trash about the other champion. Yeah. Now, I don't know. I guess maybe the build-up could have been like right after... I don't know if it was right after Evolution. Maybe it was like right after Crown Jewel. Where Becky's like, I'm going to make Ronda Rousey tap out. Oh, I mean, I guess that was the build-up for the invasion. There should have been a bigger exchange of words.
That's the one thing I hate so much about the gimmick Battle Royals. I mean, Royal Rumble isn't going anywhere. But that's one. But when you have, now we have TLC. So we're going to have two feuds that will lead to... in 2 weeks lead to a ladder match. Then we have Elimination Chamber. So instead of organically booking these things to where they end in a table match, they end, these two guys can't settle it. They're going outside of the ring. They're fighting through the crowd. People are interfering. Let's put them in a cage and let them settle it. Now you have, we have Hell in a Cell. So let's start building. Let's, do a 2 week book to a cage match. Let's do. They kept talking about how much this match meant, but it didn't because there was nothing on the line, and there was no build-up of Raw saying we're better, SmackDown saying we're better, let's get in the ring. It's just, hey, we got Survivor Series coming up. Let's do a quick invasion. Why? What caused that?
Nothing important. Nothing great. And the more I keep thinking about just how mismanaged this pay-per-view seemed, it kills me because I'm like, this is something that Someone signed off on this. People got paid to produce this.
Right.
And it's just insulting that this is the best they could come up with.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, you want to do the brand invasion. I guess we don't need... If bragging rights is still a thing, it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's not.
But, I mean, like... And you laid out all the pay-per-views coming up. Do we really need Elimination Chamber after the Royal Rumble?
Right.
No, I mean, Royal Rumble's a gimmick.
Yeah.
You know, now Elimination Chamber, we can move that somewhere down the road and keep, bring back No Way Out.
Or even not have Hell in the Cell and Elimination Chamber on the books and put that when the storylines...
Well,
that'd be the final thing
I hope now if they're going to do that, I mean, you would do a Hell in the Cell for both brands, but you're really building your women's division. Maybe you do a women's Hell in the Cell, a women's Elimination Chamber, or here's an idea of people that could take advantage of something like Elimination Chamber. The cruiserweights. Mm-hmm. The cruiserweights, the stuff they could do in that Elimination Chamber would be phenomenal. Yeah. They won't do it. I mean, because they're embarrassed about 205 Live, apparently.
Yeah. While I think it's a good idea to have, a women's Royal Rumble, a women's cage match, you should really only have one, maybe two gimmick matches on a card.
Right, I agree.
If you watch 3, even if you space them out, if you watch 3 cage matches, you're going to see a lot of repetition because cage matches are predicated on a lot of the same things. Smashing them in the cage, them trying to get out, pulling them back in.
Right, Foley. That's why Foley did Hell in the Cell. He started on top of the cell because he's like, cage matches are hard. Yeah. Because how do you make it memorable? Right. Now he found a way. Oh hell, did he find a way? But I mean, I don't want to see Becky and Nia Jax in that kind of match.
I have no problem if a feud is so red hot between, let's say, Charlotte and Becky Lynch that it leads to that. But what I'm saying is, Hell in the Cell, you shouldn't have 4 Hell in the Cell matches because people are going to be bored out of their minds. They're going to see the same things.
And it's going to make, whenever that match is announced, it's going to be like, oh, great, another one? Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, if you want to go back to, 2003, 2004, Kevin Nash and Triple H in Hell in the Cell. Now, while that might not have been the best technical match, or even Shawn versus Triple H in Hell in the Cell, remember how it was okay, we can't contain these guys.
Right.
Put them in the Hell in the Cell.
There's a reason to put them in there.
We're going to put Mick Foley in there as a referee. Right. I mean, that made that match huge.
Yeah, and it made sense.
And you knew, okay, whoever wins this match, this is going to be the end of this feud because you can't go above and beyond.
Right. But now what they're doing is, if Hell in the Cell is coming up, it's, I challenge you to a match in Hell in the Cell. Instead of it being the conclusion of a bloody and, hard-hitting feud. Again, we can't contain these guys. They're fighting in the crowd. They're fighting backstage. Every time they have a match, they get disqualified. People run in. Let's put them in the Hell in the Cell. Let's lock the door and let's let them fight to the death. Instead, it's, okay, AJ Styles and Samoa Joe are in a feud. Let's just put them in the cell. Why? Well, because we have a pay-per-view called Hell in the Cell. That's the problem. I mean, look at TNA Lockdown. How do you have 8 cage matches?
The easy answer is you don't.
If you see one, you've seen them all. They're pretty similar. Right. I mean, let's be honest.
Right, and that's why you only had one Hell in the Cell. Right. Or you only had. I mean, Hell in the Cell. Back when they did Armageddon back in 2000, you had 6 people in that cell. Right. But, I mean, it wasn't okay.
But all those storylines entwined.
They did. Yeah. It wasn't going to be, okay, you 2 are going to have a Hell in the Cell match. You 3 are going to have a Hell in the Cell match. And that's where this is kind of going. I mean, we only had 2 Survivor Series matches. That's
the other thing.
But we did brand versus brand all night except for the Cruiserweight division. Yeah. And, if you want to do that, that's fine. I mean, it is called Survivor Series, and they've been doing the numerous Survivor Series matches since at least 2002.
Right.
But there's got to be a better way to book this stuff. And, just looking at our notes through and through this whole pay-per-view, obviously we were not happy with what we saw.
Not at all.
And now a lot of these matches could have been good. On paper, Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar, that was a match that I pitched like 2 or 3 years back.
Yeah.
And which would have been good to see. Not like this. We did get something special, but again, it got ruined by the finish.
Yeah.
Because I said if Daniel Bryan actually taps out Brock Lesnar, I'll instantly give this match.
Right. Yeah. And
no matter
it
what
looked
happens.
like it was going that way when he had the yes lock and then Brock got out, but then he put him right back into it. That would have been a great finish. It wouldn't have hurt Brock.
No, it wouldn't have.
He can eat a loss.
But I mean, we get Brock wins again.
Right.
And the crowd didn't care again.
Not one bit.
I mean, it's mind-boggling that this is what it's come to.
Yeah.
Now we have, like you said, TLC next month. The only match that's really been announced is Rollins and Ambrose.
Yeah.
Now those two did have a good match, and I mean that was good and all, but you're gonna have a whole pay-per-view dedicated to this.
But what if you had like 6 months where Ambrose keeps attacking him and Seth Rollins is fighting Finn Balor for the Intercontinental, and Dean Ambrose steals it, and so the only way to solve it is to hang it from the top and have a TLC match. But we're not going to get that. What we're going to get is, okay, Dean and Seth are in a feud. Let's put them in TLC match just because they don't like each other. There's no
just because it's our next pay-per-view.
It's like the bookings being done by Goldfish. Oh, okay, Crown Jewel's over. We got Survivor Series in 2 weeks. Well, let's just do 2 Survivor Series matches, and the rest, just wing it.
Just brand versus brand. Yeah. And it shouldn't have worked out the way it did. And I mean, most of these matches had horrible finishes, and I would really want to sit down.
They were all bad.
I want to sit down with who made these decisions and be like, okay, why did you do this? I mean, and a lot of it was the same kind of finish.
Yeah.
If you look at how Nia Jax beat Asuka, it's almost the same way that Brock beat Daniel Bryan.
Yep.
Oh, he, used his size and weight as a power move. We could have done that with Nia Jax. I don't think it should have been that way. And why did Raw have to win everything? So
where's that going to go?
So Corbin Barron can stay in charge. He wasn't going to go anywhere anyway.
Well, everyone loves him, so that was a smart decision.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely, that guy's earning his money, let me tell you. But, and along the way, the match of the night kind of just gets buried in the middle of the card. Yep. And I guarantee
and forgotten like 205 Live.
Right. And now most people probably by tomorrow aren't going to remember that.
Yep.
They are going to be like, oh, did you see Charlotte flip out
last night? Yeah.
Did you see that Brock won again?
Exactly.
It's just, I mean, if you have a 1 to 5 scale for these pay-per-views,
I gave it 1 out of 5.
I give it a 1 out of 5.
Yeah,
too.
it was just.
This is just
the bad thing is we've talked about how I use my WWE Network. 90% of the time when I put it on, I'll put on an old Royal Rumble. I'll put on an old Mania. I loved the 4-on-4, 5-on-5 matches of the old Survivor Series. You remember the years where they had like all team names? Mm-hmm. They don't do that anymore. I remember there was one year where they didn't have one Survivor Series matchup.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, it's insane. Like I think the Survivor Series is just as easy to book as the Royal Rumble. Put 4 people, tell a compelling story of why they've come together, but instead we don't get that. We're just getting this just haphazard booking.
Right. I remember one. This by far is not the best Survivor Series, but I did think the story was at least compelling. Team Lesnar versus Team Angle.
Yeah.
Now
tell a story.
There's a reason Angle and Lesnar had teams going against each other. And there's a reason that you had the people who teamed up with each side. And I mean, Lesnar had the more physically imposing team.
Right.
Angle had the team that could actually, wrestle.
What was that word?
Oh yeah, you heard me, wrestle.
Yeah.
Because back then it was the World Wrestling Federation.
Can't say that.
Well, I did, and I'll keep saying it because this is what we need. We need some actual wrestling.
Yeah.
Now again, Daniel Bryan brought in some actual wrestling in this. That main event was by far no AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar. I mean, again, when you have 10 minutes of Brock dominating,
here's and what I said is that his domination went on too long, and what I mean by that is if this were a face heel match and Brock Lesnar was the heel and he just starts clobbering Daniel, let's say he does that for 3 minutes, and the crowd just wants to see Daniel get something in because he's the underdog, and he gets that kick up. In 1987, everyone in that stadium would have been on their feet.
Well, in 1987, they weren't hiring anyone built like Daniel Bryan.
That besides the point. Like, if you go back and you watch, like, Memphis Wrestling, anytime the babyface does something, you get on fire. But instead, we got 10 minutes of Brock just clobbering him. And by the time he got the kick and you would cheer for the underdog, what were they doing, Adam? They were sitting on their hands.
Well,
and then he kicked them again, and you heard a couple people like, and then, but by the time that entire period where Brock was just suplex, it just sucked the energy out of the
energy out. And again, like you brought up, Bryan with his past problems should not have been taking those bumps.
Yeah, probably not smart, but we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Again, 1 out of 5. And
I did want to bring up the announcing in this.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Because this again, horrible announcing.
Yeah.
I mean, Renee Young's good, but
I think she's doing a great job.
Listening to Michael Cole and Corey Graves go back and forth.
Yeah.
And Corey got tongue-tied and couldn't even figure out which wrestler he's talking about.
Corey's very good, but yeah, he does make a lot of announcing errors.
I mean, let's be honest. Michael Cole is no Jim Ross. He'll never be Jim Ross. He's not in the same league as Jim Ross. And, I mean, Corey as a color commentator just... What it had, you had these two people just nagging, and you had Renee Young actually doing something that resembled commentating.
Yeah.
I mean, this is bad. It's not going to get better. And if the commentary is going to be this bad, just don't have it.
Yeah.
I can watch this in silence
and
get just as much out
exactly. Well, I mean, you mentioned JR, and I think on a lot of people's lists, he'd be top 3 with Gordon Soley and Lance Russell. So
yeah, I do want to throw Tony Schiavone in that list. I know, based on what they would tell him to say in his earpiece, I've never seen this. I've never blah blah blah. But Tony was a good play-by-play guy, to me at least.
Yeah.
But I mean, a play-by-play guy needs a good color commentator to play off of.
Yeah, but you also have to be able to call the match.
Guy.
Corey Graves is trying to be Jesse the Body Ventura. He copies his mannerisms. He copies the way he fully invests in what the heels do, and thinks the heel is righteous in their cause. But in order for a color commentator to be effective, you have to. I mean, look at Mauro Ranallo and Nigel McGuinness in NXT. They're phenomenal, and the reason is, and I don't know if it's Mauro's background not being watered down sports entertainment, but I know he did MMA, I think he did hockey and things like that, but he brings so much excitement to, I mean, I don't know if you ever watch like English football.
No,
like the announcers, they bring so much enthusiasm that even if you've never seen a game of soccer or football in your life and you turn it on, they're like, he's done it, go, you can't help but get excited. We don't get that with Michael Cole. And like you said, they were just bickering the whole time, and it's kind of like Renee's like, hey guys, we're here to do a job, we're here to call the action, and you have to bring enthusiasm, and you have to know the moves well enough to be able to call them.
Well, yeah, and that's part of Michael's problem. He's been in the company for 20 years.
He still doesn't know the difference between a bulldog and a DDT.
I'm just so burnt out on Michael Cole and
he needs to go away for a while.
I mean,
I'd much rather have
my ideal wrestling announcing team would be JR and Bobby the Brain.
Yeah, they would.
To hear those two commentate because Bobby was so good at
Oh,
doing
Bobby was
heel
great.
commentating.
Bobby was
and he's so smart too.
probably the best color. I mean, he was. Also, Gorilla Monsoon was a great.
Gorilla
but
Monsoon and even Vince McMahon was a great play-by-play guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, Jim was JR's.
I could see JR. Brian, you don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, we'll go ahead and end it with that. Again, just like we felt after the crown stool that
WWE Blood Money.
Yeah, it sucks again how good that Evolution was, and now we've had two just piss poor, pun intended,
right?
Piss poor pay-per-views. It just really sucks. It's really discouraging to be a fan of the WWE. And I was reading some about how Triple H wants to make NXT a third brand instead of a development. And honestly, I think it'll save some guys' careers like Tommy and Aleister Black and Ricochet and guys like that wouldn't be used properly. So what were you gonna say, Adam?
Oh well, with that I would say that'd save some careers, and some veterans could probably benefit from going to NXT and getting in with those writers. I still say fire the current writing staff on both Raw and SmackDown, because as we've seen tonight,
it's so bad.
They don't know what they're doing.
They have no idea.
They have no idea. And the crowd at Survivor Series was not into it.
Yeah.
So that shows how poor that is.
Yeah.
You brought up the piss spot again. I just wanted to say that made me think that Big Show added nothing to that match.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing except
he never does.
Except for the piss spot.
He never does.
He didn't even do anything except grab Rockstar's spud and make him pee himself, and then walked away laughing.
And that was just it's such a dumb spot. It took so long to set up. I don't know if he was having trouble with the fake piss apparatus, but it took so long. There was very little payoff. It was just, why do that in a match where you're trying to get these two guys over with?
Well, I'm sure Vince thought that payoff was pure gold.
Oh yeah, he loved it, But we'll go ahead and end it there. Unfortunately, we couldn't end it on a higher note because that pay-per-view was just horse crap. But Adam, thanks for joining me again. If you've got any comments, if you agree with us, let us know. Be sure to click like and subscribe if you enjoyed it.
See ya.